When we talk about what a trailblazer is, it's usually associated with the words pathfinder, pioneer, or vanguard. So how about we add change agent to that? Welcome to TrailBlazerz Radio, a unique podcast platform that speaks about a myriad of subjects. We are not afraid of opening closed doors, and we always tell it like it is, period. We are accessible on various social media platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We're also accessible on various streaming audio platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, and so much more. It is our mission to ensure that you are educated, entertained, and edified. And we thank you for tuning in to us. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to TrailBlazerz Radio. I am your host, Mr. Frederick Beatty. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Saturday afternoon. You guys could have been anywhere else, but you guys are right here with us, and I appreciate you so very much for being here today, actually. And for those that'll be seeing and be watching the replay whenever you're watching it, greetings and welcome. And again, welcome to TrailBlazerz Radio. I'm your host, Mr. Frederick Beatty, and beside me, to my left or to my right, or however you're viewing her, is a young lady that does not need an introduction. However, I'm going to give her the best one that I could possibly give her. First of all, this young lady is a certified life coach, a successful entrepreneur, a 3-time best-selling author who is fueled by an unwavering passion for empowering women on their journey to rediscover themselves and achieve their dreams. This lady is armed with 3 master's certificates in life coaching, a certification in business management design, and a CPD license. She is also a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Obama Gold Award winner, in recognition internationally for being an author, being recognized also among the top 33 inspirational women on an international scale, as well as securing an award for the Black Author Awards for her novel, Divine. She's featured in 3 best-selling books. She stands as a true testament to the power of belief and the realization of one's dreams. This impactful young lady needs no introduction. However, I want to welcome to TrailBlazerz Radio, Mrs. Jasmine J.R. Tillman. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Oh man, I'm excited to have you. I hope that introduction was a good one. There's a lot of achievements in there that I missed or overlooked, but I think the main one was the presidential award. I think that shares a lot of, that holds a lot of weight.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was super excited. I actually reposted the video of me getting it the other day just for inspiration for everybody on my page.
Got you, man. That's a big award, man. So if you don't mind, I want to just jump right into this thing. So when we talked initially, we talked about you being an author, we talked about you being an entrepreneur, and we talked about how those two intersect and how it helps women. So we're going to start with the author part of that.
Okay.
What inspired you to be an author?
Well, I've been writing since I was a kid. And my mom always tell this story about how I was in I don't know the exact grade. I never remember. But I think it was like first grade where the teacher told us to write a sentence and I wrote a paragraph. So after that, the teacher went on and on like Jasmine did this and that. My mom just so excited telling everybody. And she always bring it up even right now, I'm 26 years old. My mom still bring up that story. So I've been writing since a child. I went through a lot in my lifetime where I was running the streets and I was lost. Like a lot of people and a lot of kids out here that don't know like where they're going left and right. And it was because of, I could talk about it now because I can only just talk about it 25 years later. Well, not 25 years later, but when my granddad passed, so I I'm not gonna lie, I hated myself for a long time. I thought it was my fault because I didn't speak up because you know how we was raised to not speak and we've been respectful to our adults. So I wanted to tell him to stop smoking cigarettes, but I didn't. So I felt like for a very long time that it was my fault. So I really just put my passion in writing and getting it out there, just escaping and from my situation because I come from the hood, the trenches of Toledo, Ohio. So we right in the middle of everything.
I mean, hey, I think everybody that comes from that mentality, comes from that place, has that mentality. And I mean, some people just they grow thick skin to it, and then also they just tend to understand that life goes on
Yeah.
irrespective of what happens. I mean, but you said you lost your grandfather. Was that kind of a catalyst for you to kind of push forward, or did that, or was there kind of a pause for you for a moment?
It was a pause for a very long time. My mom would always push me to write and go to medical school because she would
Mm,
always say, if you're in medical field, you'll always have a job in this economy. But I wanted to write. So for a long time, I was for like even before he passed, I was lost. But after that, and then my brother, it was my cousin, but it was my brother, my mama's brother's son, he went to jail a year before my granddad. So, and it was like the male affection, the unconditional affection, male affection that I had was from those two guys, those two men. So when they were gone, it's just like everything just kind of went left for me, extremely, because my dad was always in jail. So he's
mm,
been out of jail a lot for my whole life, basically. We got a good relationship now. He taught me a lot what I know. But yeah, so that was just like the catapult for me.
mm. And again, I think when something like that happens, there has to be a pause in your life, because
Mhm.
you have to kind of regroup and reevaluate some things, and then put some things in their proper perspectives. Um, what during that time, what did you put in there, for what things did you put in perspective, or in their proper perspectives? What things that you prioritize, what things that you look at that you need to get rid of, and what things that you felt that you needed to add as
Yeah.
you continue to go through your journey?
Yeah. So, 2013, my granddad passed. So after that, I want to say, it's so crazy because he was in hospice. The hospice he
Mm,
was in was right next to high school. You know, my mom was like, "Hey, Jasmine, like we driving out the hospice. Hey, Jasmine, you got to pick a high school. Your school about to start." And I'm just sitting in the back seat like this, like, all right, I'll do that one. I pointed right next to the school he was driving past, and it was called E.L.
mm,
Bowser High School. So I just picked something so, she can leave me alone about it. Because I'm like, oh, girl, I'm not worried about none of this. Like, but, it's like she just taught me you got to keep it pushing. But I picked that high school. And from 2013 to 2017, I made sure I graduated because I ain't gonna lie, I hated school. But I just made sure I made sure I got the grades good enough just to get up out of there, so I won't have to redo nothing grades and nothing, redo no school. For real, redo nothing because reading and English was my best. Those teachers loved me, but math and all the other stuff, I'm like, man, so I had to work a little harder. But yeah, so it's like 2017. I was dealing between those times. 2016, I met a guy. I was on and off with for 6 years. I was looking for that love. I didn't get. My dad was in and out of jail, and my granddad and my cousin, like I told you, my brother, and then this guy I was dealing with. It was the first. He was the first type of guy I was dealing with. And he was a real
mm,
street dude, and it was intriguing to me. I felt safe because the whole city was scared of him. He could protect himself and everything like that, but he still didn't treat me right. Because he
mm,
didn't know. Like what I later found out was he didn't know himself. He was lost himself, and we was kids for real. He was 2 years older than me, but he was still a kid. So after that, 2016, 2017, 2017 to about I was in the streets, I was drinking, I was doing drugs, I was doing me. And my mom, my mom was always at work because she had like I had to later understand my mom, like she had her first kid at 16. I'm 26, and I got my first kid. I'm gonna be crying with the kid because I don't know what to do with my emotions right now like that. So I'm just like, look, lady, I b- look, I give my mom major grace. 5 kids,
mm,
I think she said 5 kids at 20 or 5 kids at something, one of them ages, and I'm like, girl, you a soldier. Yeah, so I had to give her grace, but exactly. So just me doing my thing. I was lost for a long time. I think about 2019, I started getting into my career on the real, and I started getting
mm.
serious. And I'm like, hey, look, I've been doing like I was getting betrayed because honestly, it's gonna be funny, but I was watching TV. I was watching these shows, and I thought that's how life was: friends, loyal, people looking out. Hold on, I
No,
got cry tears because I really thought I got out here and they showed me what's really going on. They
no,
ran me through the dirt, and I mean they ran me down. I'm like, dang, y'all gonna do me like that? I'm loyal. I thought if I was
nothing.
loyal to you, they would look. And then it was tough out here. It was rough, but I learned a lot from that. So I just started really separating myself because I'm already a loner. I'm a Scorpio. I like to always say that because I'm a Scorpio. So I separate. I'm like a true loner. I separate myself. I be wanting to be alone half the time just to think. So
Mm.
after all this stuff I went through, I started separating myself and I started going to my mom because I was always staying with a job. But you know me, like when I was a kid, I was job hopping, but I still live with my mom. I'm not doing that right now because I got my own spot. So I've been at this job for 2 years now, and
Right.
I ain't gonna play. Even though they get on my last nerve, I can't even walk out. So, but at my when I was living with my mom when I was growing up, because I got my first job at 16, she begged me not to, but I'm like, man, I gotta get me some money, get me a car, trying to be
Right.
grown. She reminded me today, like, oh, you've been working for 10 years, you happy now? I said, girl, when she was visiting me, I said, "Girl, what are you about to do? You got to go back home talking like that because I'm mad, you know." But but yeah, after 2019, I got serious about my career, got my life coaching masters and everything. My mom let me take off because I dropped out of medical school a month before I was taking my state test because I went as soon as I got out of high school. But I did that because I thought that dude was gonna come back to me because he said I'm getting off my stuff. I was special, but I ain't special no more. Being young and dumb. And
Man.
yeah, and my mom wanted to make my mom happy, and I wanted to get her off my back, So, yeah,
Man, I hear you on that one, man. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to go through at a young age. But then again, you found the wherewithal to pivot and make it work and make it work for you, despite what you went through, despite all the challenges that you faced in the midst of all of that. And that is most definitely something that's commendable. But this authorship journey, I mean, when did you realize that this was something that you were good at and you really wanted to be serious about it?
so that in 2019, I wrote I was, oh, no, 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 excuse me, back up, because I was in 2017, 2018, I was in medical school, right? I was in there, and it was cool at first or whatever, but then I got to going every day. I couldn't get on job because it didn't. My school hours wasn't working. Nobody wanted to hire me.
Mm,
No Burger King job on the side, but I can only work like 3, 4 hours. So I was looking raggedy every day. I couldn't get my hair done. I couldn't do nothing for myself. But my mom was like, just stick with it. You got it. You almost done. I'm just like, I'm miserable. I'm in there researching how to write books on the screen. I'm like, man, I need to learn how to write books. Like, I'm hitting. I probably still got an old YouTube. Well, people be having those promos on YouTube. I was messaging the dude. I'm like, my mom want me to stay in school, but I want to know how to write books. And I remember going back and
mm,
forth with the dude a little bit. But about 2018, I dropped out of medical school at the end of 2018, and then 2019, because I left my mama's house because I know she's gonna be mad at me. But I went back home because I was young. I wasn't none out here, but I had to go back
right.
home. In about 2019, I wrote my first. I learned how to write my first book. It didn't come out yet. It's called Incursion. It's a supernatural fiction novel, and I wrote four and a half behind that because it's a 5-book series. And then I got my book Divine that I brought out, the urban fiction, because it's hot right now. So I got that out, and I'm working on Divine 2 right now. So I got 5.5 books written already.
Man, 5.5 books already, man. Look,
Listen,
on a you on pace to kind of get somewhere, aren't you?
yeah, yeah, and I got everything, like, I'm strategic, so I'm planning everything out. My 5-book series it's not time for that to come out yet. So I got the Divine out right now. So urban fantasy, urban fiction. It's hot right now.
Mm. So for those readers who don't know what urban fantasy is, could you describe what that genre is for those who don't understand what that is?
Absolutely. So urban fantasy, it's basically like hood tales. You can keep it real. You can keep it real. You can write off your experience of where you've been at from in the hood and how you experience certain things. Like you can write about sex and everybody gonna be mad at you. You can write lessons in there, and it's just basically all around a circle of black fiction,
Mm.
black folks.
Right. Now that is a very popular genre in literature because a lot of us like to read on the urban fiction, the hood tales,
Yeah.
and the hood tales and things of that nature. Now me personally, I mean, I like urban fiction, but I am more into because I'm former military. I like military stuff, but I'm also into high fantasy too. So I like the it's kind of like the RPG type stuff, the Final Fantasies, the Chrono Triggers and stuff like that. I'm
Ah,
into those types of things, but I'm also a big old Warhammer 40K nut, so I've been big into that. Um,
nice.
what author are there any authors that you kind of that you've looked at towards for any guidance, or do you find yourself inspired by certain authors, or is that something that you don't necessarily look towards at this point?
Um, Good question. When I first, I can't even remember these people names. I'm so bad at names, but I know the Twilight was my favorite movie, but I never looked into the book. Um,
Mm,
I think, and then Hunger Games, it really motivates. I don't know why, but it motivates me on an extreme level. What motivated me when I was writing and everything. Um, yeah, I was more into the movies that motivated me because I always said I wanted to write books and turn them into movies. So movies was
mm.
more of my safe space because, like I was saying, it was my safe haven for me to escape. So I just learned how to write the books because I always had a gift for writing. So I really didn't look at any authors like that.
Okay. So really you didn't look to any authors as far as like developing a particular style or anything of that nature, or
No,
maybe emulating a style.
no, none.
And now, just for the listening audience out here, I believe that it's very important to
Hmm.
develop your own style of writing.
True.
Now you can emulate some people's style, but
Hmm.
developing your own style is important. And I think that's when you do that, that's something that grabs people to you, that pulls people to you, and they also look at you and like, okay, they their stories are like this person, but they don't write like this person.
Exactly.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, I was intrigued a lot by a lot of Donald Going's novels because of the realism into it, and like a lot of the hood tales. And now I was really intrigued by those, and I had a chance to read some of those.
Okay.
Now, were you now did you get to read any of those novels? Or I mean, because again, when we talk about urban fiction, we're talking about hood tales, we're talking about tales that could or could not involve some amount of violence, also some amount of sex, some sex or sexual innuendo. Now, did you read any of those to kind of understand what you were writing?
No, actually, what's so intriguing about that is I was in the hood. So I
Mm,
just basically wrote off experiences that I had, what I saw, and I just incorporated within me when I taught myself how to write books. With certain genres, you have the readers, they're expecting a certain amount of word count, they're
mm.
expecting a certain amount of pages, certain amount of chapters. So I just really basically just went in and wrote my experience, and like you said, I developed my own writing style. So I really just went off of that.
Okay. But like you also mentioned, a lot of these stories also speak to lessons
Exactly.
that we as human beings always learn during the course of this lifetime.
Hmm.
And a lot of those lessons are hard won and hard earned lessons.
Yes.
Um, in your writing, do you in I think that this part of it is kind of more like a more let's say of a not a one-off thing, but a kind of it I won't even say that. In your writing, the lessons that you impart in your writing, do you think do you feel that like these lessons were ones that you learned initially first, and then now that you learn them, you pass them to the readers so they can kind of understand, so they can understand a bit of what your story is and not to make those same mistakes?
Oh, absolutely. So the number one thing I like to teach because one more thing I like to say first is I teach through experience. So if I'm writing something, it's always going to be some. It's like it's always I'm so deep. It's going to be some lessons in there. It's going to be
Right.
something in there that you could take and incorporate within your life and with mixed in with entertainment because with the social media and everything we got going on, our attention spans are very short. So I like to incorporate lessons within the entertainment. So at the end of the day, your unconscious mind can catch that and incorporate it within your life without you even knowing it. But you go catch on later on, like, oh, okay, hold on. So that's what I like to do.
Cool. And I like that because I think there needs to be lessons incorporated in what we're writing. And as an author myself, and you can agree with this, you can probably attest to this. A lot of what our experiences bleed into the page,
Exactly.
and all the lessons that we've learned from from growing up and trying and failing, and
Hmm.
trying again and failing again, and we
Hmm.
put those lessons we write those experiences and those lessons in the words that we write and in the pages that we write. And I mean, for me, I find it so satisfying to know that what I've written has the possibility of impacting someone.
Yes,
Um, Now, the question I want to pose to you is that do you write for impact or do you write for entertainment?
definitely impact. I am so into impact. Like, how can I stress this? I'm so impassioned about impact because for a very long time I was such in a dark place. I hated myself for such a long time. That's why I'm able to see, like, for through my experience. I was just thinking about that this morning. I'm like, okay, I'm making status on Facebook. I was thinking about, I have two types of people that I run across in life. I either inspire them, or they either inspired by me, or they either hate me because of who I am.
Mm,
So with that, I know how to see it. I know how to see that somebody hate you because 9 times out of 10, what I like to say and stretch is the two things, a person treats you how they feel about themselves, right?
right.
And if a person treating a person that's unhappy is a mean person. I'm not gonna say evil, is a mean person because they're unhappy with themselves. That has nothing to do with me.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I'm giving you these games and these gems. You either go take them or you ain't. But at the end of the day, somebody that hates you, they love you for real because you got something in them that they wish they could have, or they feel like they don't have the willpower or the mental capacity to handle or do the things that you do. So
Yeah.
I definitely love teaching through impact. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I'm a Jesus girl. And what I've been learning through my journey is, like, on every step of my journey of me elevating to that next level, I always had one, like, I'm not gonna say just, well, it's mostly women. One woman that just absolutely couldn't stand me for a reason that she could not explain. And then I always had one that just loved me on the other side, like, on the other side, like, yeah, I know what's going on, but I love you, just lifting me up. So I definitely, like, I love to say they hated on Jesus, but he still taught the world. So it's whatever.
Mhm.
And I ain't none
Oh
compared
yeah.
to him. So who am I to be sitting up sad because somebody don't like me?
Exactly.
But y'all go learn. Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna learn today.
Yeah.
Y'all
For
gonna
real.
learn today. Now, we talked about the author side of you. Now let's talk about the entrepreneurial side of you. You
Oh,
know, you have a business, you have a business and things of that nature. What's the name of your business and who does this business cater to?
absolutely. So infinitely authentic enterprises LLC. It's a business. It caters to I help women authors, both seasoned and newly authors, create their storylines, create to write their books and become self-published authors.
Wow. Now, you being you going through the self-published journey, publishing journey yourself,
Hmm.
and knowing that this is I think we both know that being a self-published author or being an author period is based upon a lot mostly on competition,
Hmm.
what's popular with people,
Hmm.
what people are reading.
Hmm.
How do you help those authors navigate those um those pitfalls or those footholds? How do you help them get a foothold on all those things so that way they can be successful despite the immense saturation of urban fiction or immense saturation of black authors, whether it be women authors or kid authors or even men authors? How do you help them establish footholds?
Hmm. So basically, infinitely authentic, right? So authentic. Being extremely authentic is extremely important because at the end of the day, when I started my career, I've been doing this for 5 years now. I
Right.
thought making $1 million was going to be way easier than it is. But that's, excuse my language, that stuff is hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So yeah, I thought it was gonna be way easier because I was putting my blood, sweat, and tears. I was consistent. I was putting that work in. I wasn't getting no sleep. I was doing this. I was doing that. But let me tell you something. God ain't gonna give you. He ain't gonna give you that if you ain't mentally and emotionally ready for that. And he know you not ready. You ain't gonna get that. He don't care how mad you gonna be at him. Because at the end of the day, you gonna get that. You gonna get that foothold. You'll get that what you've been chasing, and it ain't gonna last. So you have
Right.
to be mentally and emotionally ready for this game here, especially in self-publishing, because at the end of the day, it's harder, but ownership is extremely important. That's the most important asset you can have, because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you know, you pushing out work for a publisher and everything. They doing their things for you, but it's not, you don't own it. It's not
Right.
yours, so they can do whatever they want to for real. You know, people want to be people. A lot of people are lazy, but I'm not gonna say just lazy. But a lot of people don't. They don't have the mental capacity to be able to get up every day and motivate themselves. That's why you have that's why you have a lot of people that would rather work a job. And I'm not ain't nothing wrong with working a job because I work a job, you know, to get where I'm going. But you have a lot
Right.
of people comfortable doing that, and they'd rather do that because it's easier. It's easier
Right.
to do. It's easier to be on somebody else's time, and people want to be told what to do, you know. So what I
Mhm.
like to stretch with these women is, you have to, first of all, you have to pick a genre that you're equipped with, something that you love to do. And basically I like to incorporate real life. I like to incorporate real life within the story, because if it's a story that you're passionate about, you're not going to give up on your story, your baby.
Right.
So let's say this. You doing a genre, this is something I just learned. You doing something that, like you writing the storylines I was pushing out, they were, you know, just because it was a hot commodity and everything, urban, like urban fiction and stuff. Okay, urban fiction is cool, but I'm more of a psychological person. So I incorporated urban fiction, psychological urban romance. That's what I'm focused on, more deeper than something that I love to do, because I'm gonna be passionate about that. I'm not gonna get bored with it, and I'm gonna love to do that, and I'm gonna stick with it, because it's already hard enough to just wake up in the morning and not have to be on somebody's clock. So when you doing something
Right.
for yourself, when you doing something for yourself, it's harder. So you have to do something that you're passionate with. You have to write something that you're passionate in, because if you don't do that, the foundation is weak. Let's say this. Everybody like urban, like I just say, everybody like urban romance, urban fiction.
Mhm.
I like it. So, but I don't love that. If you like a flower, you water it. But if you love it, you help it grow.
You feed into it. You care for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you like something, you just eh,
Yep.
I'll just water it every now and again.
Mm,
Do something. But with something that you're passionate about, you're gonna do what you're gonna allow it to grow. You're gonna do more than just water it. You're gonna do more than
mm,
just feed it. You're gonna pour everything into it. You're gonna give it your all, give it your heart, give it everything that you have to make sure that
mhm,
it grows and it and it prospers. So I get that. I think there's some people who will write in genres that are more or less lucrative to them than they like than they actually feel a need to write feel than they're actually passionate about writing about it because
mhm,
it's generated them so much money
mhm.
and they rather they don't want to write about what they about other things. It's just because this generates them money. And I think that it's
Exactly.
important. One of the things that you mentioned about authenticity is really, and you can probably attest to this, it's really really difficult to be authentic,
Mhm,
especially in a genre that's so saturated like urban fiction.
mhm.
You know, there are people who are authentic, but then there are people who are not authentic. But then how does your company help those authors that are up under your wing? How do you help those authors remain, you know, retain their authenticity?
Yeah. So you gonna have a lot of kickback on being who you are, especially in this society, because we seeing a lot of things like, for example, like we have all these famous people and everything. You know, they look like they're so happy they doing this and that. Then when them cameras turn off, they sitting there drained and sad because they did all this to get some money, but they forgot who they were in the process, and now they're trying to figure out why they waking up with the I don't want to be exclusive, explicit, but you know, waking up
Go
with
ahead.
we're waking up with a knife up today next something. And where
Mm,
they trying to end it all because they forgot who they was, or they everybody viewing them with this image that who they really not, because they wanted to get the money. So it's I definitely push the ladies to, like, no matter what happens, you have to stick to your guns. And I shower the ladies with a lot of support. I shower these authors with a lot of support and love and a lot of lessons. And even when they in their feelings or or feeling like they don't feel like they just don't feel like it doing it today, I give them a lot of tips. Basically, especially even if you want to write, even if you don't feel like writing it, just go into it. Just sit down, write, even if it's 5 minutes a day. That's how I finished. So I got all these books done because by the time I wrote my third book, it was I wrote my third book in like 90 days of me writing my
Mm.
I wrote 2 books in 90 days.
Wow.
Like, yeah, because I discipline myself. And don't get me wrong, when I was first starting up, I started writing on notebook paper. I still got the notebook in my first book before I got hip to the computer and just doing it straight to the computer. I wrote everything down and I transferred it to the computer. It took me so long to do that, but it taught me a lot of discipline because I don't even have writer's block anymore. So I make sure to let these ladies know that discipline is the number one thing that you must have whenever you want to do something and complete something, whenever you want to write your books. Because at the end of the day, I have a lady that I'm mentoring, and she always speak about, somebody needing to push her and everything. And I'm like, okay, I can only push you so far because at the end of the day, you get up in the morning, you wiping your butt. I'm not wiping your butt. So you have to make sure that you good at the end of the day. My sister always let us say, "Can't nobody live your life for you but you." I used to hate hearing it because
Right.
I'm like, I need guidance. I need somebody to tell me, you know what I'm saying? Because it was easier. But a lot of things we don't even notice that we doing for real because like 85% of our thoughts are from our unconscious mind. We seeing all these visuals, all this stuff on TV, and wondering why we don't got it and stuff like that. We don't even realize.
I get you, and I understand. I get that wholeheartedly, and I liked how
Mm,
you mentioned that. You know, you're teaching you're teaching these ladies that are up under your wing to retain that authenticity
yes.
in your writing, but also in your own personal life. So you're imparting personal lessons that also can translate to writing as well, and that's great. That's a real good thing. Again, and I keep repeating this because this ended because the Black literature industry is so saturated with a lot of urban fiction authors. Not to
Mm-hmm.
say that there's no other genres out there that
Mm-hmm.
we write in, but urban fiction is the most popular genre.
Mm-hmm.
And to remain competitive, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
you either have to you either have to follow you either have to follow everybody else or
Mm-hmm.
get left behind.
Yeah.
Now, the one question that I've asked a couple of authors in this instance, and I'll ask you too, not also be but also being an author, but also being an entrepreneur, teaching other authors. What is it that you show? What is it that you show them that tells them that they don't have to follow the mold?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. Cause when you were saying, you speaking about competition, I was in my head like, all right, I always been, like I was saying, as I was growing into each part of my life, it was always, that one person that was in the ladies that absolutely couldn't stand me for no reason.
Mm,
They were in competition with me, but the only person I was in competition with was myself
mm,
becoming a better me. But now that I'm to this age and I learned a lot of lessons, I just feel like I'm not in competition with myself either. I'm I'm growing myself to be a better me. So
mm.
I'm growing that old person that I used to be. I'm sprinkling her with love and grace and taking those lessons to incorporate it within my new lifestyle. So what I like to wait, I don't forgot the look. I
Take
got
your
so
time. Take
excited.
your time. Take your
Look, I got so
time.
excited. Yeah, so basically, letting them know that, so when you writing, right? And we worry about plagiarism and people taking your stuff, but at the end
Right.
of the day, it's only one you. Can't nobody they can, take and say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, if it's your story, if it's who you are, if it's what you feel in your heart, they can't really take nothing for real because that's your story. Can't nobody take nothing from you. Oh, that's what I love to stretch that. Like, can't nobody take nothing from you. It's yours. That's why I love to stretch authenticity and ownership and being passionate about whatever that you do because at the end of the day, somebody can, like, when I was growing up and the guy I was dealing with, I was so sad because I loved him so much, or I thought I did, and I was telling my cousin, I was like, I was on the phone, like, I don't know why you do me like he broke me. She was like, girl, can't nobody break you. He's like, he can't break you. He ain't make you.
Nope,
I
not at all.
remember that. That was like that was like 2016, and I still remember that saying. Can't nobody break you. Period. So when you remain authentic, ain't nothing nobody can do.
Got you. So, would you agree with this particular statement? Authenticity is an important baseline in how we develop and how we as authors develop, but also how we as people develop.
Period. Because at the end of the day, we still human beings behind this work that we dishing out. We still pushing out this entertainment for somebody to escape from their life that they living right now. But at the end of the day, we growing as a people, as we writing, as we getting those we getting the good feedback, the bad feedback, or whatever it is, it's still helping us grow as a person. Because you could take in what somebody say, or you could take in some of the stuff somebody say, or you don't have to take it. It's your choice. So definitely, definitely, I agree with that.
So, I mean, I think that's an important baseline because I think when you start off from that base,
Mm-hmm.
everything else tends to build upon it. But
Yep.
again, when you don't have that base, it I say it muddies the waters because now you started off with this base that wasn't so stable, and you're building things on top of it. And in my experience, building a house on sand
Ah.
is fit for failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So
understand that.
one of the other things I want to ask you, what foundations do you give these women to build upon as you're helping them develop into self publishing journey, but also helping them develop them as not just authors, but also um, entrepreneurs as well. What foundations do you give them? What building blocks you give them?
Okay, so are you speaking with materialistic things or mentality?
Mostly, I think for me, mostly when I talk about foundations and building blocks, I'm thinking more of mentality. What do you feel? What do you feed into them? What do you pour into them to that gives them that motivation to keep moving forward and to keep building on what they're on, keep building on the foundation that started that you helped them start.
Yeah. So first thing I give them is love. Um, Passion is the second thing that I give them. I want to make sure that everyone knows that. I want to make sure that everyone knows that whatever they do or the way somebody looking at them, it doesn't like it matters just to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, I don't look. Look. I don't care. I ain't gonna lie. Like when people are looking at you and stuff, like, cause you still have to give your audience members what they want. So that's why I say to a certain extent. But being um like having that stronghold of being mentally strong even when the odds are against you, because life is going to happen anyway. So I love to make sure that I let them know that to give themselves grace, first of all.
Mm,
Because if you don't give yourself grace, like, who is? Like, my people always say, like, if you don't love yourself, who gonna love you? But I didn't never really fully understand that because I was always giving myself off to everybody else and losing parts of myself with each time. You can't pour it from an empty cup of water, period.
mm,
So I always make sure to let them know that they need to have their cups full so they can dish out the best work that they need to. But most importantly, they need to love themselves and care for themselves first. So I
mm,
love to dish out a lot of information on caring for yourself, loving yourself, putting that work in. And I like to keep it real with them. Like, this journey ain't gonna be easy, but it's not impossible to obtain. As long as you're passionate about your goals and what you have to want to accomplish within being an author, within being a self-published author, then you can do anything. It's gonna be hard, but ownership, like I keep saying, ownership is so important. I just saw a oh, see, I'm so bad at names and I'll be moving so fast. What's his Amos Cookies? I saw the story about him, about how he had the cookies, then he had to sell the his company, or he had to sell part of his company because his it was failing to a certain extent. And, just he was wanting to get back on his feet, but then they took it from him. And then they kicked him out, and he ended up his cookies worth millions and billions of dollars today.
mm.
And he passed in a nursing home, in a home, homeless.
Wow.
Like, come on, man. That hurt me. I'm like, I shared it to my ladies. Hey, look, I said ownership is very important. I keep stretching it.
I get it. I mean, And I think that when you're teaching them self-love, self-compassion,
Mhm.
grace, self-care, and then you're giving them that brutal honesty, those are the building blocks to create people who are, who are gonna push forward in their lives and be and make sure that they do the things that they have to do. But
Mhm.
that but I think one of the things that you didn't mention, but I know you were thinking about it, is self accountability.
Oh, period. Oh, period. Yes. Yes,
You gotta
definitely.
hold you have to say, hey,
You
look,
have to.
this is your thing.
Exactly.
You
No,
own
for
it.
real.
You take care of it. This is your baby. You're accountable for this baby.
Yep. Yep. Like I was saying, I don't get up and wipe your booty in the morning. You do. So at the end of the day, you gotta keep it pushing for you because you stop, but I know life ain't gonna stop, so I gotta keep going on my end. So you can't get the point of the finger.
Right. So,
Yep.
and I think in the way that you teach these ladies, is it more of a is it a hands-on approach, or do you let them operate autonomously?
So yeah, basically yeah, that. So I let them do their own thing. Like I love to be a helping hand, but like you were saying with self accountability, I give off the helping hand, but at the end of the day, look, like I give y'all the push, I give y'all the foothold, but y'all gotta be there mentally. Y'all gotta prepare yourself. But if y'all feel like y'all falling, I'm still right here to push you to keep going. But you have to keep going, like self accountability. You gotta keep going for you.
Now, do you give these ladies, like, short term, long term goals? Are there any benchmarks that they have to hit as they're going through this journey with you?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely short term and long term goals. Short term goals, but I like to map out the short we have the short term goals, right? Then we have the long term. What I like to do first is when they're mapping out the short term goals, I like for them to write out everything just on their mind, the first thing that comes to their mind. But then I have them circle the things that to be realistic. I have them circle things to be realistic. So I like to for them to set realistic goals because with me, I always set these extreme goals that always kept me in a depression because I'm like, why I'm like, what I say? All right, one of them is I was like millionaire at 23. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. How old was I? I probably was like 20. I was probably like 20. And I'm like, man. So I like for them to be I like for them to be realistic because God showed me something. But yeah, definitely love for them to be realistic about their goals that they're trying to set for themselves.
And I get that because I think most people don't. I don't know. I'm and I'm I can attest to this because sometimes in my own personal writing journey, I'm not self accountable. You know, I
Yeah,
don't I don't set benchmarks for myself. I don't set those long term, short term goals when it comes to, like, planning a book, writing a book, and then, all the other things. I'm and I really have to get out of this being a person that does stuff spur of the moment, especially when it comes to my writing. I mean, if I feel it, I'll write it, but and then it'll kind of sit for a moment,
mm-hmm.
and I won't touch it again. So I think the simple fact that you give these ladies the short term, the long term goals, um, the benchmarks within a specific time frame, that helps keep them focused.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes.
really helps them keeps them focused.
Definitely. And I had a writing challenge that I was running. I'm not running it right now because I have other aspirations that I'm going for. But the writing challenge, I had so many ladies really loving it. And really loving to do that because it helped them reach the right goals. I have another lady another a lady I just talked to the other day, and she was like, "Hey, look, she's like, my book almost done. That writing challenge really pushed me and it helped me, and basically just I give them the freedom to choose
Got
because
you.
it's a mind thing, right? Um, no, I ain't gonna go to the 40 laws of power, but basically how you have when you give somebody the foothold and you make them think that they got it. I mean, they really do, but it's a mind thing. Like you push somebody and be like, it was your idea. They gonna be more happy about it because it was their idea in the first place.
Got you. I understand that one most definitely wholeheartedly. Now, we talked about your author journey. We talked about your entrepreneurship journey. So how do these two separate things come together and make this beautiful thing, that you've developed over the course of a few years? How does all these two things come together, and how do you use both of them to to continually push the ladies that you have under you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, well, I'm so excited because I always talk about my name, Infinitely Authentic, because I started off with a few names, Power, but that was a long time ago
Right.
because Power had came out. I didn't even know it was out, and my mom was watching it. I said, "Oh man, I can't even use that as a business name." It discouraged me a little bit, but I started off with a few names, but Infinitely Authentic, it came about. It came about because I guess who I am, infinite, like this ongoing. Like I always like to say, like life ain't gonna stop, it ain't gonna stop. So infinite and infinitely, and then authentic. Just I'm very passionate about being yourself and of doing what you love, and to it just helps you to keep going. And then enterprises, so basically that all ties in. The enterprises is I help the ladies write their storylines, I customize them or give out pre-written storylines. So if they don't have a storyline but they just want to get one or whatever, they help them get started. And the writing guides, I have the
Mhm.
nonfiction writing guide, fiction writing guide, self-publishing writing guide, and I have my books. I also have a clothing line coming out as well, the Infinite Queens, based off of my Facebook group, where I also help the women authors and help them and guide them. I have my team behind me, and we help the ladies to keep it pushing. And we also have our monthly interviews where we bring them on to talk about their mental health, because at the end of the day, without your mental being stable, and without you having that push within yourself, and without you feeling like you don't have that support, then you gonna be most liable to stop going. So I just like to incorporate everything because it's all about writing, it's all about personal growth, it's all about self accountability, it's all about having a stable mentality. So all that ties in together with writing books, because at the end of the day, we have, like we was talking about earlier, we have those lessons that they have in the books. We
Mhm.
have those personal goals that we can teach through, or to teach people in books, because I also have women empowerment journals out as well. I got a journal called 10 Tips to Hold Yourself Accountable for the Life You Want to Live, as well as You Matter, which is teaching my journey, and then teaching my journey from where I was at to where I was. And I got the part two coming out to teach about, to tell where I'm at right now, but I also give the ladies a foothold to. I like basically I'm always a stepping stool for the ladies. So I have where I write my journey, and then I have a section where they can write theirs, so they can what do you call it? Just bounce off of me and get them support.
Got you. And I think that that's very important that you touch on those things, especially the emotional and the mental health part aspect of it, because let's just call it what it is. Writing a book, well, from the development stage to the writing stage to um the publishing stage, the post publishing stage, and then marketing it off. That is a very, very, first of all, intricate as well as time consuming endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
And each aspect of that will drain you in
Mm-hmm.
some way, some form, some way, shape, or form, because of the number one, the time constraints involved. Number two, the amount of, you know, when as authors, when we write books, we put a lot of our thought, process into it,
Mm-hmm.
because we want to make sure that we're crafting a story that's something that's not only that's believable, but also something that can be relatable. And that takes a lot of, a lot of thought process. But then you have the financial aspect of it. Um, if you're a self-published author, then a lot of these things come out of your own pocket.
Exactly.
You pay for pro you pay for the editing, you pay for formatting.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you know how to do that yourself,
Exactly.
those things have a monetary cost attached to them, and then
Mm-hmm.
you still have to market. Um, and I think, like you said, the mental health aspect of it is important, because all those things I just mentioned can adversely affect that.
Mhm.
You know, are there any techniques that anything that you talk to these young ladies about to kind of help them keep their, their emotional health in, in balance, and to keep their mental acuity in check?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, with that, basically, like we go back to self accountability, right?
Right.
You have to give yourself time. You can't. You don't want to bombard yourself with, oh, I have to get this done. Oh, nothing's going right. Oh, no, 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 no. Give yourself grace at the end of the day because it's gonna get done if you
Right.
keep pushing to do it. But if you push yourself too hard to the point where you're gonna be unmotivated, so you just
Ooh.
have to be patient. You have to be patient in this process. That's something that I had to learn because I'm one of the most impatient people in the world. I'm not gonna lie to you. I and I know that I am because a lot of people, they always talk about, my dad always say, it didn't come fast enough for you, huh? It didn't come fast enough for you. And I'll just be like, Dad, like what you talk about? But then, it clicked later on, like, dang, you right. I put too much on myself. So I like to let them know, don't put too, like I said earlier, you set these realistic expectations, right? So you set these goals, but you want to make sure at the end of the day you still giving yourself enough time to be able to reach these goals without making yourself overwhelmed. So you want to make sure that you're not overwhelmed, and you want to sit back and still take that time to nurture yourself.
Oh yeah, and you got to be able to you have to water yourself, because
Exactly.
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
You can pour into an empty cup, but you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think is and I think the things that you're doing as far as helping these young ladies get to a point to where they can water them, you're watering them, but they're also watering themselves in the same instance. But you're giving them these foundations to build upon, and to continue to build upon until that house that they're building is no longer just a bunch of two by fours that has that that looks somewhat like a house. It has all the working, all the things that are included that make a house. You have your walls, you have, and all the other infrastructure that's there too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there any part of the process that you kind of guide you? I know you said you guide them through this process. Is there any part of the process that you are more of a hands-on type person in that process while you're helping develop these ladies? Or is one process more of a hands-on thing than the others? Like publishing, writing, marketing. Are those more hands-on processes for you?
hmm Yeah, so the thing that's the number one hands-on thing is me creating the customized outlines. So
Mm,
when I'm creating a storyline, I always make sure, because I like to remain extremely authentic. It's their story, it's what they want to tell. And I make sure that I let them know that they can, when they give me this foundation that they want me to work off of, that I make sure that it's what they want, right?
right.
So with the customized outlines, I give them a form, they fill it out, and they tell me what they want to incorporate within the story. I have one section, they tell me what they want. They have an idea, but I have a section too that if the authors don't really know what they exactly like, they don't have very extremely specific details on what they want to happen on every which turn of the book, then I give them that section to keep going. So that's the most hands-on um that I do. With the guides, it's a self help guide. So they grab the self publishing guides, and if they have any questions or need any help, dishing out what they need, like, oh, hey, I had this marketing part, but this happened and I didn't know which way to turn. I'm like, okay, look, this is what you do that. And, we just, yeah, just
You
keep going.
roll with it.
Yep. Yeah.
So throughout this journey from authorship to entrepreneurship, and
hmm
now um, teaching these ladies how to combine both of them into something solid. What's been the most what's been the most satisfying thing for you?
The reviews. Oh, you helped me. Oh, I'm done. Oh, I finished this. I'll be happy. I ain't gonna lie, like, cause it be times where I'll be feeling down myself, and they be like, hey, I just finished this book, or hey, I got good reviews. I got good pushback from what I just put out, and I'll just be like, for real, thank you. I'm like, okay, shine this. Like,
There you
I'll be
go.
happy. Yeah, that's the most satisfying for me, honestly. The impact. That's why I said earlier, I'm so big on impact because at the end of the day, it was never about the money for me. I just wanted to get my family in a better situation. But I lost myself in that process because I was too focused on trying to get my family out the hood and get us in a better position and be able to travel and live my life to the fullest that I stopped living my life altogether. So definitely focused on peace and happiness, and those reviews and the kind words and everybody that says, like, just, oh, I did this, I did that, thank you. That's the most impact. That's the wealth. That's the wealth that I get. That's my
Mm,
wealth.
gotcha. Now to the opposite. What has been the most challenging or difficult?
Oh Lord. I would say, let me, this is the most challenging, I would say, um like, you have those, I'm not gonna speak too much on it, but you have those people that come to you, but they not really on it for real.
They're
Like
not
they playing
motivated.
game, huh?
They're not motivated.
They're not motivated, but they want you to do everything. And I'm just like, hey, look, like, I'm the foothold, because at the end of the day, if I do everything for you and it's completed, you're not gonna do nothing with it anyway, because you ain't put no work in it. You ain't put no blood, sweat, and tears in it. You just do a couple dollars, and you think that the impact is gonna come from it because it look good, but you don't even care about it for real. So it's just like that is challenging sometimes with people that like to play games. But I'm the one of the people that I don't be on that. I'm not gonna lie. So, I give them a chance. I give people grace and everything because I understand people, like, and why I don't know why. I just like to understand people when the reason that, like, if I know why somebody do something, the way they do it, I have a better understanding and more grace for them as a human being. So I just
Right.
like, and I don't take nothing personal in business at all. So it's never nothing personal. I learned that a long time ago.
Oh yeah. It's all business, nothing
It
personal.
exactly. So
And
yeah, that it's definitely challenging times, but
yeah,
yeah.
but challenges are meant to be overcome, right?
Exactly.
Yep. And if you can't go, I put it like this: if you can't go through it, you can't go under it, you can't go
Mhm.
around it. Well, let's figure out a way to do one of the. Let's think about how we can do one of those things.
Exactly.
Let's come
Mhm.
across a solution. Let's come across a solution where either to go through it, over it, under it,
Exactly.
around it, above it, whatever. You know,
Exactly.
and I like how you are more of a solutions based type person when
Yes.
it comes to helping these ladies get to a point to where they can kind of they can fly on own. I
Mhm.
kind of liken you to more to like a mother bird who has her chicks in the nest. When they you care for them and you care for them and you dote on them until you feel they're ready to fly on their own, and then you
Mhm.
allow them to fly on their own.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, so this what happened, right? When I uh when I stopped playing, when I stopped acting like I was Jesus, my life got way better. Period.
Mm,
I was too drained. I was too taken advantage of. I was too worried about everybody else. But at the end of the day, like I said, can't nobody live your life for you but you. And my sister
mhm.
always said that to me. I used to be mad about it. I was like, "What you talking about? I can save everybody." I ain't lie. Can we cuss? We can't cuss them here.
Come on, you say what you gotta say.
My mom always called me Captain Save-A-Ho, and I used to be so mad because I'm like, girl, what you talk about? And I was young, but I was the mama. I would had everybody at her
But you
crib, feeding them, clothing them, doing
but you
everything.
can't but you can't save everybody. And there comes a point in time to where you feel like where has come a point in time to like, okay, this person right here is beyond any type of redemption that I can give them, or beyond any type of saving that I can give them.
Yes,
They gotta figure this shit out on their own.
on their own. It's because everybody on their own separate journey. Even like yeah, I learned a lot. Like even in my relationship, I learned like they're separate individuals. All we can do is support and be there for each other, but we cannot save each other because at the end of the day, we both live in our different journeys. We just doing it together.
Yeah. And one thing you are 100% responsible for you.
Exactly. Period.
100% responsible for who you are, your actions, and everything of
Mhm.
that nature.
Yep.
Now, one of the things I always like to ask um, my guests as we conclude is one question, and I like in well, it's two questions actually. The
Okay.
first one is, um, what does legacy mean for Jasmine J.R. Tillman? What does that mean? What does that mean to her? What does that look like to her?
And it didn't change, right? Because I'm about to say it changed up so many times. Because my profession changed up a few times as I was
Mhm.
learning, but it was still on the same authorship, but like the things I wanted to do and accomplish. But the legacy is I'll just like generational wealth, right? But not just with money, but I mean
Mhm.
impact as we are talking about, right? A lot of impact as far as being yourself, even in the challenge of even the most challenging times of when people want to tell you who you need to be, because the world tells us who we're supposed to be, right? All the
Right.
time, it tells us who we need to be, who we should be, who we should look like, and everything else. But at the end of the day, you're never going to have true happiness. So what I want is uh, uh, excuse me, a building is. I would like to say the building is biggest Tyler Perry Studios, teaching life coaching, vendor events, and speaking engagements. Just everything within my career and to help these ladies, or because I might eventually I started off with both genders, but I went to ladies just so I could have like I could do a reach, like I can focus more and
Mhm.
get that foundation together. But I might eventually just go off to the guys as well because I relate to women a lot, but I relate to guys a little bit more. I don't know why, but we vibe a
Mhm.
little bit better. I'm a tomboy, so but yeah.
There it
So
is. I mean, I like that. Now, the other question I asked this. Now, this is kind of a. I'll explain it so that way
okay.
it doesn't. It's not confusing. Um, in a marathon, so we're talking about racing marathon, like running marathons, but it's also equitable. This also can be comparable to our lives as well, because I believe our lives are marathons, and there are three. To me, there are three stages of a marathon. The first stage is the start, where the starter's gun goes off, and we're all leaving the gates, and we're running to get to our prescribed pace.
Hmm.
And then there's the middle part of this race, to where we're at our prescribed pace, and we're moving at that pace, and we're moving um towards whatever goals we have set for ourselves.
Hmm.
And then there's an end. Now, a lot of people think about, when I say the end, some people think about end of life. I don't think of the marathon of life as an
Hmm.
end of life. The end of this is as an end of life. It could be the end of something that we've been going through, and we're starting again. So the finish line is in sight, and we're still moving at our pace. We may be a little slower, we may be a little faster, but we're still moving. Thinking about, where you've been in your life, and the progresses you've made in your life, um, the successes and the failures, as well as, the ups, downs, and the whole totality of your life. In your marathon of your life, where are you at? Are you at the beginning? Are you at the middle? Or are you toward the end? Now, keep in mind, the end does not mean end of life in this. And when I mention this, it could mean the end of a thing that you've been through, and you're starting over again.
Definitely at the end, I'm I'm transitioning to the woman that I was always meant to be. I went through a lot, especially mentally. I was depressed for a long time, six
Mm,
years straight. One time, then dealing with the relationship I was dealing with at a young age. I learned a lot at a young age, um, especially. But now, since I've been in Atlanta for 3.5 years now on my own. Um, what I leave? Well, I'm 25, 22, 22. I left home at 22 years old because I started off early. I got out here at 16. Um,
mm.
Probably before that, 12 on 13, but we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna go that deep. But because I had a good mom, but she's always at work, so I did my thing. But Yeah, so but I went through a lot. I went through a lot of lessons. I went through a lot of heartbreak, and now I'm just to that point where I just definitely just flowing with the going with the flow of life, trying not to control everything, allowing God to help me prosper, and I'm just at that peace and happiness moment. Like, oh
Yeah.
yes, I'm at that happiness. I'm just so super excited about life is about. I put all the work in, constantly, but I'm just allowing life to bless me now. I'm allowing the universe to bless me and give me what I deserve.
Mm, I like that because, like I said before, the end does not always mean end of life. It can mean the end of a chapter in your life, which
Yes.
means the beginning of something different. A
Yep.
lot of people, when I ask that question, they always think about end of life, and I try to
Right.
stress that it's not mean end of life. It means it could be to mean the end of something, a chapter, and the beginning of
Mhm.
another one. You expound on that wonderfully because you stated it's the end of a chapter in your life,
Mhm.
and now that you're growing into this new chapter, and you're starting, and so basically it's the end of a past marathon and the beginning of a new one. You just haven't got
Yep.
you're at the finish, you're toward the finish line of this one, and you're going to get to the start line of the new one. So I like that. As I look at it, as things end, things begin.
Mhm.
One aspect of our lives, one aspect or part of our lives ends, another aspect begins. As we
Mhm.
grow,
Mhm.
we we end certain parts of our lives, and then we start new parts of our lives. You know,
Exactly.
we end that, but we started those new parts of our lives with the lessons that we learned from the
Yep.
past aspects of it.
Mhm.
And that you were to me, you're a great example of, you know, you learn from what you went through and you applied it to what you're doing now, and you're making an impact on, not only literature but also on the women that you pull into your circle, the women that you pull into your circle to mentor. Um, that's that's huge. That's very, very huge, and it means a lot. I would say to those women that you mentor, it means a lot to them. It means a lot to them, and I like the fact that you do that. You've done that, and you continue to do that for the women in your group. So with this point,
Thank you.
at this time, I'm gonna give you center stage to where you can tell everybody who you are, where they can find you at, and also let everybody know where they can find your books at. So I'm gonna give you center stage. It's all you.
All right, thank you. So yes, Jasmine J.R. Tillman. I'm a three-time best-selling author, a writing consultant, and a ghostwriter. You can find me on Facebook at Jasmine Tillman, TikTok at Jasmine Tillman number one, Instagram at Jasmine J.R. Tillman 23, and LinkedIn at Jasmine Tillman. So in my book and everything, all my work is on my website. I have a clothing line coming out, Infinite Queens, as well as the clothing t-shirt and sweatshirt of my debut urban fiction novel, Divine. So I'm super excited about that. So yeah, we can get these balls rolling. Also join us in our group Infinite Dream Queens, Urban Fiction and Romance Writers, where we help the ladies push them. We have free promotion for your books every Monday and Friday. We have activities that we got going on, and we have a monthly for the whole year. We're booked up right now, but we're gonna have spots opening. Life happens. Sometimes people drop out and everything because they have stuff going on. But you can come through and get you a monthly interview once a month based off your mental health and how you're navigating that within your career. So I want to thank you for it, for allowing me to come on your platform and speak, and thank you for your kind words. And I'm excited. This is my favorite interview like this year already. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
Gratitude, man. Gratitude. So you said you do free promotion for authors on Mondays and Fridays?
Yep. Mondays and Fridays. Yep.
Cool, man. Hey, look, if you're an author,
Yep. I already come through. Vibe with these
come on,
talented
man.
women. It's
Come
only
on through.
positive energy and positive vibes. We also have a group chat on the side, Queen of the Week. We don't nominate, we recognize you for your personal goals and what you're doing in your journey. And it's we on the up and up.
Man, look here. So look, man, make sure I just posted it right here in front. So make sure you find Jasmine and her team here on Infinite Dream Queens Urban
Yes.
Fiction and Romance Writers Group on Facebook. Free promotion for authors on Mondays and Fridays. So make sure you guys tap in with her and her team. If you guys have a book or an upcoming book, let them know they will promote it free of charge on Mondays and Fridays. If you
Mhm.
guys are interested and want to know a little bit more about who she is, fine. You can find her on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, so if you want to know more information about who she is, you can find out who she is. You can find her on all social media platforms. Um, Tap in with her group. If you're an author, free promotion Mondays and Fridays. You cannot beat free promotion. Matter
Nope.
of fact, you can't beat promotion. You can't beat promotion. You most definitely can't beat free promotion. I mean,
Mhm.
this also gives you guys as authors a chance to be exposed to another author group
Mhm.
who will freely promote your work, promote your books, promote your work. I mean, I know that sometimes promotion as authors, there's a cost attached to it, and sometimes that cost could skyrocket
Mhm.
or whatnot. But free promotion is free promotion to me is the best type of promotion because it puts you in front of so many other people, so many other groups, and it allows other groups to experience your work and experience
Mhm.
who you are. So
Yeah.
as we conclude, I do have a couple of announcements, but also I'll say this now because I did post it on Facebook. Um, this particular decision for me was not the most easiest decision, but it's the most to me it's the most prudent one for now. So for those who do not know, and for those who are just now tuning in, as of um, February 28th, Trailblazer Radio will be temporarily shutting down our podcast operations. Reason being that so we're going to regroup, revamp, and
Okay.
reinvent ourselves. So when we come back, we're going to be stronger. We're going to be better than we were. Not saying that we weren't better now,
Mhm.
but we're going to do some revamping. And I want to make sure that everybody knows this is not a this is not a permanent thing. This is a temporary
Mhm.
thing. Just need to put some things in their proper order. Um, Also, make sure you guys continue to tune in. So all shows that are scheduled for the month of February will go on as scheduled. No deviations from that. Um, LSG has some Latanya Harris. LSG has some shows coming up. There's one coming up on, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday. So make sure you guys tune into that. And she has also some other shows coming as well. I'm going to be doing a show come sometime. I'm not sure what day next week. I'm thinking probably Thursday. And I'm going back to a show that I did a while back, and it was an analysis of a video game scene. And yes, we're going back. We're kind of, for those who watched it the first time, yes, we're going back to God of War Ragnarok. More specifically, we're going to the Valhalla DLC. And there's a scene that I want to talk to you guys about, and how this scene speaks to us as men, and how we need to look at that scene and analyze that scene. But other than that, guys, I mean, make sure you continue to watch us on YouTube. Make sure you check us out on Facebook. We check out our audio episodes on Spotify. The latest episodes have already been uploaded, so make sure you guys check those out. We're also on Amazon Music. We're also on iHeartRadio. We're also on Apple Podcasts. So check us out. We're everywhere. Um, but first and the last thing I want to say, I want to thank Miss Jasmine J.R. Tillman for being here today, taking the time out of a Saturday afternoon to be here and chill with me and talk about her journey as an author and as an entrepreneur and how those match together. And I really want to just say thank you, Jasmine, for being here.
Oh,
You are an awesome woman,
thank
and I
you.
think that what you're doing is gonna continue to help women authors get to whatever pinnacles they need to get to.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're so
Sorry
very
for being.
welcome. No, no problem, no problem. Again, check her out on all her social media websites. Make
Mhm.
sure if you're an author, tap into that Facebook group. I did put it up in our chat. Make sure you tap into that Facebook group. Free promotion Mondays and Fridays. You can't beat that, y'all.
Yeah.
Cannot beat that. And on that note, and on that note, I love you guys to life. I love you guys to live. Three things I always like to say when we get up out of here. Number one, love on each other. Number two, take care of each other. Number three, we all know this is a very crazy, crazy world out here. So above all those things, y'all please, please, and pretty please, y'all be safe out here, man. Y'all be safe out here. Take care of yourself. I love y'all, and we will see y'all on the next one.